Have you ever wondered what makes a battle truly important for our history? Is it about the size of the armies, or maybe the strategy behind it? Most of us think of famous land battles, like Hastings, where England got a new king, or Waterloo, where Napoleon's story ended. But what about the battles fought at sea? The Battle of Lepanto in 1571 wasn't just a big naval showdown. It was a turning point for the entire Mediterranean. It was a fight between the Holy League, a group of European Catholic states, and the Ottoman Empire, the dominant Muslim power of that time. This wasn't just about ships and cannons. It was about who would control trade, culture, and influence in the region. But what actually led to this clash? How did it unfold? And why does it still matter today? Let's dive into the story of Lepanto. Okay, so we first have to set the stage. We are in the 16th century and the Ottoman Empire is an absolute powerhouse. Under their Sultan, Selim II, they control huge parts of Europe, North Africa and the Middle East. Oh, and they kinda got the Eastern Mediterranean pretty much for themselves so far. The Ottomans are running the show when it comes to trade, culture and military power, and they even got their eyes set on expanding even further into Europe. The Battle of Lepanto was part of the Ottoman-Venetian War, which was fought between 1570 and 1573. But it was also part of a way bigger war, the Ottoman-Habsburg Wars, which actually reigned from 1526 till 1791. So that's actually more than 250 years. On the other side, we got Venice, or let's say the Republic of Venice, one of the richest and most powerful maritime republics in Europe. Venice is all about trade. They control key routes between Europe and the East. But here's the thing, Venice knows that if the Ottomans keep expanding, they could lose it all, because they're kind of close to the Republic of Venice. And then we have a man named Marcantonio Bragadin, who fought at the siege of Famagusta on Cyprus. Bragadin led a fierce defense against the Ottomans, but when the city fell in 1571, the Ottomans didn't just take the win, they made an example out of him. He was flayed alive, which horrified Europe, and lit a fire under the need to act. To counter the Ottoman expansion, Pope Pius V formed the Holy League in 1571, a coalition aimed at stopping the Ottoman advances. The Holy League was an alliance of several powerful Catholic states, including Spain, Venice, the Papal States, Genoa, and the Knights of Malta. Each member brought a unique strength to the coalition. Spain, led by King Philip II, contributed substantially military resources. Venice, under Alvise Mocenigo, provided powerful ships and skilled sailors, and the Papal States, led by Pope Pius V himself, supplied funds and religious support. At the heart of the Battle of Lepanto were remarkable leaders whose decision would determine the fate of empires. Don Juan of Austria, the half-brother of Spain King Philip II, was appointed to lead the Holy League. Only 24 years old, Don Juan was known for his charisma, military skill and unbreakable faith. He believed deeply in the cause, viewing the battle as a religious crusade. On the Ottoman side, Ali Pasha, the fleet admiral, commanded the Ottoman forces. Known for his bravery and military experience, Ali Pasha was entrusted with maintaining Ottoman dominance. He too was driven by a sense of duty to his empire and his faith, viewing the battle as a defense of Islamic lands. Other notable leaders included Sebastiano Venier, the Venetian admiral, and Marcantonio Colonna of the Papal States. Together they formed a coalition army combining the forces of Venice, Spain, Genoa and the Papal States. The Battle of Lepanto wasn't the first or only battle fought with galleys. Galleys, or ships designed for close combat, were the preferred naval vessels in the Mediterranean for centuries, used in famous battles like Actium between Octavian and Mark Antonius and the Battle of Salamis during the Greco-Persian Wars. The Ottomans, Venetians and other Mediterranean powers frequently relied on the galleys, ideal for the relatively calm waters of the Mediterranean Sea. Galleys allowed fleets to engage closely, making hand-to-hand combat a key element of naval warfare in this period. The battle itself was unique, not just for its scale, but for the way it was fought. This was a galley battle, where ships powered by rowers clashed in close combat. Galleys allowed ships to maneuver in tight quarters and brought soldiers up close to the enemy. Often, these naval vessels were also armed with cannons. But most of the fighting still involved close-range combat, once the ships collided. The Holy League's fleet consisted of 212 ships, most of them galleys, carrying 28,000 soldiers and 40,000 rowers. The Ottoman fleet had around 250 ships and the larger numbers of rowers, mostly enslaved Christians. Ottoman rowers were often chained to their benches, which meant they had no escape in case of defeat. This forced them to fight with a desperation unmatched by their Christian counterparts. The tactics would be brutal. Ships would approach one another at high speed, firing cannons and then ramming into each other. The soldiers would then board the enemy's ships, leading to brutal hand-to-hand combat. On October 7, 1571, in the waters of the Gulf of Patras near Greece, the two fleets met. The Holy League's forces arranged their ships in a crescent shape, mirroring the Ottomans' formation. Don Juan's flagship, the Real, led the center, while the Venetians and the Genoese held the flanks. At the start, both sides exchanged cannon fire, and then the fleets charged into each other. The center clash was intense, with the Real ramming directly into Ali Pasha's flagship, the Sultana. The ships were locked together, and fierce hand-to-hand fighting broke out. The Ottomans fought with their signature curved swords, known as scimitars, while the Europeans used long pikes and swords. On the Holy League's right flank, the Venetian galleys faced the heaviest resistance, with the Ottomans initially gaining advantage. However, a reserve force led by Alvaro de Bazan helped reinforce the right flank, turning the tide of the battle. After hours of intense fighting, Ali Pasha was killed, and his flagship was captured. His death was a devastating blow to the Ottoman morale, and one by one the Ottoman ships were overwhelmed. By the end of the day, around 20,000 Ottomans and 8,000 Holy League soldiers lay dead, but the Holy League had emerged victorious. This victory marked the end of Ottoman expansion in the Mediterranean. The victory at Lepanto was celebrated across Europe as a triumph of Christianity over Islam and a significant blow to Ottoman power. For decades, the Ottomans had been seen as nearly unstoppable, and Lepanto was a rare defeat. While it didn't end Ottoman naval presence in the Mediterranean, it halted their westward expansion and reasserted European control over the region. In many ways, Lepanto's significance mirrors in the Battle of Tours, centuries earlier, where Charles Martel and his Frankish army halted the Muslim advance into Western Europe. Both battles served as critical moments when European forces unified to push back against Islamic expansion. If you want to know more about Charles Martel and the Battle of Tours, make sure to check out my YouTube video about him. I will leave the link in the description. The Battle of Lepanto also had a psychological impact. It lifted European morale and was seen as a proof that the Ottoman Empire could be challenged. News of the victory spread quickly through Europe, and artists celebrated it in paintings, poems and musics. Lepanto was one of the last major naval battles fought with oared galleys, marking a shift towards sailing ships and more advanced naval artillery. As technology progressed, gunpowder weapons became more efficient, and oared galleys became more obsolete. Lepanto also highlighted the limitations of traditional galley warfare in the face of new technologies. In the years following, European and Ottoman navies would invest in larger, more heavily armed sailing ships, setting the stage for a new era of naval conflict on the high seas. If you enjoyed the story of Lepanto, please like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. Also, be sure to check out our other videos of interesting facts from our history. And as always, this is HistoryCrafts, where history crafts itself.